that we're not going to delve into, the 10th National Assembly that will be slogged out today. Well, that's basically the main focus of our conversation this morning. And, fortunately, we would say that members-elect of the 10th National Assembly have converged on the nation's capital, Abuja, for their inauguration today, which is Tuesday. Already, security has been tightened at the National Assembly complex and its environs ahead of the big event. Now, the security units deployed comprise personnel of the Nigerian Police, the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, the State Security Service, and the in-house security outfit known as Sergeant at Arms. The security operatives arrived at the National Assembly complex in their combat outfits. Meanwhile, the entire National Assembly complex, the makeshift chamber of the House of Representatives and the Senate are now wearing a new look, while large sizes of customized canopy tents have been erected at the National Assembly arcade for guests who would not gain access to the two chambers. Accreditation for lawmakers, the media, security personnel, members of staff and others has been concluded, with different sectors having different colors of accreditation tags. All the heads of security agencies attached to the National Assembly were also on ground to oversee the accreditation exercise. Well, that's the latest update from the venue of the biggest political event in the country today. But all of today's event is coming against a backdrop of intense horse trading and backdoor politicking involving ranking members and senior party officials as to who should emerge principal officers of the 10th Assembly. Only yesterday, the two main contenders for the office of the Speaker of the House of Reps stepped down for the party's preferred candidate, Tajuddin Abbas. In the Senate, the scenario is a little bit different. However, like I told you, Cyril Abako is in the studio with me to delve into this conversation appropriately, while we, of course, await Great Imo, who will be joining us virtually to, talk about this. Cyril, interestingly, we do know that today is one huge political event besides the presidential inauguration that took place 2 weeks ago, and we knew the drama that culminated preceding this particular day. So, barring any last-minute change, 469 federal lawmakers will today elect 4 presiding officers of the 10th National Assembly. President Bola Tinubu has issued a proclamation letter for the inauguration of the 10th National Assembly in line with the 1999 Constitution. So, in the Red Chamber, 109 senators will pick the Senate President and the Deputy Senate President, while 360 House of Rep members will elect the House Speaker and Deputy Speaker. So at the moment, there's this adrenaline rush, there is high expectation, there is heightened awareness, and like you heard me in my intro where I said there are security operatives on ground to ensure that nothing goes skew or haywire. Do we think anything is going to go out of the ordinary beyond those who have been beyond those who have been elected, or beyond those who have been nominated actually from the powers that be within the All Progressive Congress?
I don't see that happening very clearly.
Really?
I don't
very
see that
certain?
happening. No. In fact, I foresee a last-minute resolution to what is going on. You want to look at what happened at the House of Reps. 360 members were more easily gotten to agree to what should stand, as opposed to 109 members in the Senate who are now fighting and saying no, we don't want that. Apparently, all the others who were in the running for the leadership of the Senate, President and Deputy President of the Senate, appear to have given way, or appear to have come to the conclusion that in any case that they will be stepping down. But we now have 4 names. Abdulaziz Yari, former governor of Zamfara State, former governor of Abia State in the person of Ojo Zokalo. We have the former governor of Akwa Ibom State, Gosela Pabio, who is the party's preferred bride, as well as the person.
That party's preferred.
Yes, as well as the person who has been touted to be his running mate in the person of Barau Jibrin. So these names have been with us for for weeks now, for almost 2 months, these names have been going around, and where the party clearly came out to say the person they want, the party and the president came up to say the person we want is Mr. Akpabio, along with his chosen deputy, who is Jibrin Barau. We want these to be the president and deputy president of the Senate. I would have thought that the party, if it had that sort of monolithic or strongly united front, that all frayed nerves would have calmed down. But apparently they didn't, and this looks to be going down to the wires. But if Yari indeed has the political acumen to upset the apple cart for his own party, it remains to be seen. This is a national level. This is not Lagos State. This is not Akwa Ibom State. This is not Abia State. Politics in Abuja is a lot more complex. It's a lot more dynamic. You can't be too sure where what is going on until it lands. Governor Yari is a ranking senator. He's been there before, and he's not an unknown name in our national political space. I mean, if you've read papers in the past 1 or 2 weeks, you would have seen wraparounds, front page advertorials in the Sun,
this morning.
In Daily Trust and so on, saying, and you see him even put the president's picture beside it and say he is for this. So we want to see how today goes, whether just at the nick of time, the matter would be resolved, or they'll go toe to toe to say let's go head to head and give it a shot.
So the two contenders, Senator Godswill Akpabio, right, and former governor of Zamfara State, Abdulaziz Yari. Now, the president, Bola Tinubu, and the leadership have picked the duo of Akpabio and Senator Jibrin Barau as preferred candidates for Senate President and Deputy, respectively. Now, we do know that Orji Okalo dropped his bid for the Senate President, formed an alliance with Yari to contest for the Deputy Senate President's position. And that, of course, maybe that was where the tears was coming from when he was trying to solicit their sympathy. But let's look at the composition of these members and how it's going to form, how the directive of the 10th Senate. The Senate, the one that has been dissolved now, or the one that is
the 9th Senate.
The 9th Senate. Nigerians termed them the rubber stamp. They call them rubber stamp Senate Assembly, where they only did things that the executive wanted and not things in the interest of the people. Ahmad Lawan came to defend that and say, we did our best. We passed bills that a lot of other, National Assembly units could not at the time. So regardless of what you guys think about us, we do not care. We know we did our best. And they necessarily do not have to be in loggerheads with the executive in order to do what they're meant to do. But do we think this group of individuals would lead the Senate in the direction that would actually speak for the people and not for themselves?
I have no personal belief or conviction that either Yari or Akpabio will be the best embodiment of the representation of the will of Nigerians. I don't have it.
Why? Why don't you have it?
Well, Mr. Akpabio, this is politics, and politics is always complex. It's about interests. Sadly, personal interests almost always coming first before any other interest. Now, the party, before they nominated Akpabio and Barau, would have had some backdoor meetings and discussions of that one. And which means that him going there already, the party sending him there. And when the party sending you there, you owe the party some of your loyalty. The party and the president sending you there, you owe that bloc a measure of loyalty. It is natural, it is normal. That's one. The second, the second point to be made is that Yari himself isn't saying, I want to come in as a departure from what happened in the past. Yari is campaigning in the media, campaigning on the strength of his loyalty to the president also. So he is not particularly coming to say, I want to be the people's authentic representative. He's not saying that. He is saying, in my view, whatever Akpabio can do for the president,
I can also do.
I also can do. And so if it's on the score, or that is if not even better. So if it's only on the score of whether there will be a departure from what we saw in the last National Assembly, I have very little hopes regarding that one. So yes, but it's a fact, and the evidence is out there for anybody to see.
Okay, so let's look at the fight over endorsement. Now, Akpabio's camp yesterday, right? They claim to have secured the endorsement of more senators, including the 15 from the Southeast, a claim Yaris group dismissed. Okay, now the Director General of Akpabio's campaign group, Senator Ali Ndume, who of course is from Bola, said 15 senators elect from the Southeast met with Akpabio, who they reportedly endorsed his candidacy. Akpabio's camp also claimed to have gotten the support of Ahmed Lawan, now who is going to be former Senate President of the 9th Senate, and of course, according to the group, promised to deliver the former Akwa Ibom State Governor after meeting with President Tinubu. So, do we think a situation whereby if the president is not in tandem with some things that will go on in this 10th National Assembly, there'll be a problem? Because already you could see that these members, of course, President Bola Tinubu is in support of them. Obviously, that's what it was a huge.
No, of course, yes,
endorsement.
Yes.
Now, do you think it would have been more interesting if we had opponents who were fighting this individual, not necessarily fighting in terms of physical, but in terms of making the political drama more interesting, whereby we see what tenacity of opposition can be, compared to the APC thinking they can always trump their whatever it is they want on others just because they have the majority?
Well, if I get the question correctly, the
combination of the Labour Party,
yes,
combination of NNPP, PDP, as well as SDP, they may be considered a minority party, right? Although the president met with them recently, and some of them seem to maybe possibly reason with him. I don't know what promises were made. But do you think if they had remained tenacious, it would have been more interesting and possibly produce a candidate or two candidates that will contest these individuals endorsed by the APC?
Esther, the way we sit down in Lagos and other cities of the country to analyze political goings on in Abuja, sometimes I think even they wish that we went and sat in their shoes for just a night. No, to be honest with you, what looks black to you on TV is very much white in Abuja. What looks bluish or a bluish hue to you on TV is very much yellow with them. So the lighting does not always reflect the true color of things. That's the first thing I'm going to say. The lighting does not always reflect the true color of things. So the way where so if they hold their own down, and first of all, are all PDP senators for PDP or some of them? So for example, in Rivers State, where Governor Wike did more than show his interest as a supporter of the president, and who is the leader of the party in Rivers State, and who produced the senators who are now in Abuja, do you think that they'll be voting for that they'll be voting outside of what he wants them to vote for? I don't think so. In Oyo State, it's the same picture. Governor Ayo Mark, is it? I know, not Ayo. Sheyi Makinde, okay. Governor Sheyi Makinde of Oyo State, who has even come to say that all the governors are behind Akpabio. Akpabio is an APC senator. What is the business of a PDP governor in telling Nigerians who is behind, who campaigning for an APC candidate for Senate president? And I have not had any PDP senator, any Labour Party senator, any NPP senator even say anything significant or meaningful in this homily. You know why?
Why?
Because all senators and reps members answer to their governors who send them there. Ideally, the lobbying should even be to the governors and not to the people who are on the floor. But there's a challenge. Challenge that the dynamics that brought the 7th, 8th, and 9th assemblies to Abuja is not the same thing that brought the 10th assembly. The 10th assembly is being brought in by a mismatch. Somebody is in PDP, he's for the APC. Somebody is in the APC, you don't know who he's for.
Oh.
So that's why they're now having to tread very carefully. Even if somebody comes and says, I'm for you, you don't know who is really for. Otherwise, but on the strength of what Governor Makin and Wike have been saying in the past few weeks, we should take it for granted that Akpabio will be a shoe-in. Didn't you take it and I said that or the governors that these governors are behind. How true is that? If 32 governors are behind Akpabio, why
are we having a contest?
Why are you still lobbying and fighting? Okay, so that's why I say this is pure politics, and once
politics and propaganda.
Now, good. Of course, you could read my mind. Once politics is the issue, forget about what people say. You have to be able to see. Get as close as you possibly can to see for yourself. Otherwise, if you rely on what they are saying, you cannot. You can't bank on what they say.
All right, I have joining us virtually on the program, Great Imo. He'll be joining us virtually today. Great Imo, good morning and welcome to VOP this morning.
Yeah, good morning.
All right, so we're talking about the 10th National Assembly today. It's quite an interesting one if we consider how things have been evolving. And I've been in the studio here with Cyril Abako, where we've been looking at the drama that has been in the way before today, which is going to be the eventual slug-out. So here is my question. One of the major contenders for the House of Speaker, that is Ahmed Idris Wase, has debunked rumors that he has withdrawn from the race. He literally said that the Secretary of Wase for Speaker Media Team, Dominic Alancha, in a statement yesterday said there was no iota of truth in the claim. So just like Cyril made a statement here where you heard some governors say the 36 states governors are backing Godswill Akpabio, and that Wase is saying that he's still in the race, and he's saying that he has his support. When it comes to things like this, what do we believe? Because the 10th National Assembly comprised of several constituents that represent the various constituents across all the regions of the Federation. So who do we believe when it comes to this? Or is it just as usual, self-interest and political, political manifestations of our national policy?
Well, let me start by saying that it is unfortunate that, first and foremost, we have sitting governors whose interest should be the development of their people, leaving their constituencies, which is the states which they govern, to focus on what is happening in the National Assembly, to struggle to determine who want to be the Senate president and the Speaker of the House of Representatives. These are some of the manifest failures of our kind of democracy, and they are signs that some of these people who have been elected have a misplaced priority, because who determines who becomes the Speaker and the Senate should be the priority and responsibility of members of the National Assembly. In fact, the dimension that this the tussle for the leadership of the National Assembly has taken has exposed so much that it is now looking as if the National Assembly has become another trading ground for political elites to satisfy just their selfish interests, because the law establishing the National Assembly makes it mandatory such that it is the members of the National Assembly who should choose who should become their leader. It is a matter of first amongst equal. And all of these things being thrown at it shows there is something beyond this simple legal position. For example, we had when Akpabio was Minister for Niger Delta, you remember the hearing on the NDDC contract and other related matters, where he accused members of the National Assembly of being part of the corruption in the NDDC. I mean, people whose job were supposed to do the oversight function to ensure that the executive arm of government was held liable to ensure that everything that had been budgeted for the development of Niger Delta and the rest of Nigeria, they were spent to the last kobo, to the benefit of all Nigerians. And right there in the Senate, we had him saying that members, and we had somebody literally begging him, asking chairman to off his mind, because it has become a cesspool of corruption where people go to trade. I mean, why Nigerians are dying, waiting for projects, both sitting governors and senators and members of the executive, ministers, and all other members have turned the National Assembly to a trading ground. So when you see these people jostling for interest, it's not about the interests of Nigerians. It is not about the best and the brightest. It is about who will favor them. You begin to hear things like, oh, this man is malleable, this guy is a demon. This is all we hear. This is an attempt. In fact, this further exposes the corruption that will be deepened in this country. It will be deepened in this country if we allow what is going on to continue. These are warning signs that National Assembly is going to become a trading ground where ministers come, bribe members of the National Assembly, have fictitious contracts awarded through the budgetary position, and they go home and nothing happens, because that is all they are looking for. We are not looking for somebody who is devoid of corruption, somebody who will stand up for the majority of Nigerians, people who will pass laws that will enable the progress and development of Nigeria. No, it doesn't look like that. So whether the rumor of this person is backing me, that one is not supporting me, all nonsense. We should go there, and merit and competence should be what is being discussed. What is their qualification?
All right, great. You mentioned the word right
And
now,
what has
which
been the outcome?
okay, great. You mentioned a word right now which you termed as competence. Competence, which the Northwest have been saying that that is what this particular cabinet formation of the 10th Senate should be about. Competence rather than regionalization. Now, if we try to look at competence, there is a possibility that we would have a Muslim scenario or composition like we have at the presidency. And
Does it really matter?
oh wow,
You
okay, it's
already have a
interesting.
Muslim ticket. Those pretending to be interested in having a religious balance are already jokers. In this villa, where the authority and the power of governance lies, you already have Muslims. So what does it matter if a Muslim becomes the Senate president or the speaker? At best, what we can ask for now is competence. I'm telling you the truth. We have gone past those religious things because we have had people, former governors, say what they say. It is no longer something of interest to us. Religious balancing is a fluke, is all lies. Somebody who have captured the state power, who has the control, complete control of the executive without having any religious balancing thought, is telling us about the Senate. It doesn't change anything.
That's an interesting perspective. Great. Interesting to note. Okay, so let's look at another scenario, point of discourse. You recall the Saraki Senate composition. Can you
Yeah.
tell me, did you like that composition? What exactly can you say about that composition?
Where the political parties, across political parties, leadership was moved. The important thing for me is the number one thing the Saraki composition was exceptional about was that it was the choice of members of the Senate. This idea where the executive want to choose the Senate president, like the one we had, the outgoing Senate president who was a literal rubber stamp. You can hear a senator confessing that there will be nothing but absolute rubber stamp, where after Emefiele was arrested, a lot of things have been discovered, and there have been a Senate that has oversight function on some of the institutions of government who were there shouting yea and nay. So it happened because the Senate president, the outgoing Senate president, or the Ninth Assembly Senate president was literally chosen by the executive.
So,
And
so
that is
great.
an
Are we saying that
inauguration.
we're going to see a replica of the Ninth Senate on the
Absolutely.
10th Senate?
Absolutely. If we allow the will of the executive to prevail, it is an indictment on our democracy, because what is even more, they've already announced who they wanted as Senate president. It's a Senate president that will be representative of all the senators from the 36 states of the Federation, representing interests of different constituents and all that. And somebody is sitting somewhere. It's literally an appointment here, because the president said this is what I want, and that is all. For what? That means we just want a malleable Senate president that goes with what the president wants. And we have seen the effect of it in the last 8 years, especially in the last 4 years, where every nonsense was accepted and that in Senate. And now we are coming back and we are running saying we are probing. Even the DSS that is now run up, and they've been there for 4 years. Everything was just a rubber stamp to allow the executive to do what they want. Why the principles of democracy for the establishment of the executive, the legislature of government is absolute in this engagement and can utilize all the powers given to them. That is why we have all this. The National Assembly is to check the executive. The judiciary is to check both National Assembly and the executive. But whereby you have malleable judiciary, malleable appointed this in the National Assembly, you aren't going to make headway. I'm going to make way. It's all about sharing resources and nothing more, because we have reason to think that is what it is.